Hello, welcome back to Hammer Horror in Order, where we literally watch all the Hammer films, horror movies, and thrillers in the order in which they were released. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Donnie
Yo,
and the Professor Smoke.
what's up?
If you don't know who we are from the All American Spook Show podcast, which you can catch right here on the YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast every Monday at 6 p.m. East. So we encourage you to go hunt those down and give us a listen and a like and subscribe and all that jazz. But yeah, we're here to talk about the next one in line. This is the 10th edition. So we're finally hitting the end of the 50s. This movie was released November 30th, 1959, and that movie is The Man Who Could Cheat Death. So I guess the first question right out the gates is: have either of you guys seen this movie before?
Not I. This is the first time for me.
Yeah, first time watch as well.
It seems like I've never seen it, but it seems like I've seen this before. Maybe the poster or maybe the
Oh
main
yeah.
character, somewhere. Um,
Yeah, I've definitely seen the poster before.
Yeah.
yeah. Past that, no, I'd never sit down and watch this movie. And this is this is a little different from some of the ones that we've watched so far, wouldn't you say?
It in some ways it feels familiar, and we'll get into that. That's mainly because of the principal people involved in it are the same principal people involved in most of the Hammer films we've done so far. But story wise, it's a little bit different. As far as the horror, I think the horror elements pull back a little bit. It's got horror in it, but it's a bit more melodrama, romance kind of.
As far
Also,
as the like principles is, once again, like we keep, this is like a broken record. We keep saying directed by Terence Fisher,
yeah.
written the screenplay was written by Jimmy Sangster, and of course we can't do anything without Peter Cushing and or Christopher Lee. And
That's right.
Cushing's not in this, but Christopher Lee's in it, right?
Yeah, Cushing. I know. I read that he was in the role for was the main character. I can't remember the name of the character right now.
Dr. Bonnet.
Dr. Bonnet.
Yes, yeah. And he had done too many movies in a row, like a string of movies, and he was tired. So they gave him this one off, and Christopher Lee's in it, but not Peter Cushing
Yeah,
because of that.
I don't know what else Cushing did outside of say horror, right, for Hammer at this time. I'm sure he was busy doing other stuff, but up to this point, he had done, let me see, one, two, three, four, five movies, Hammer movies in a row, dating back to 1957, leading up to this.
Also, another person involved in this that's kind of that we haven't really talked too much about, because a lot of times we don't necessarily talk about these people. They are, of course, important to the look of the movie as the cinematographer. Jack Asher, who has been the cinematographer for a good many of these as well, including The Mummy, Horror of Dracula, to name a couple, and there'll be more. Hound of the Baskervilles, I believe he did that one too.
Yeah, this was actually an adapted screenplay from the play The Man in Half Moon Street, which I've obviously never read or seen, but that had actually been adapted into a film a decade prior in 1945 called The Man in Half Moon Street. I've never seen that film either. Have Smoke? Have you seen that one?
No, that's one I think I'd heard the name somewhere. I had until we started doing the research a little bit on this one. I had never connected the two things. I've known of Hammer's The Man Who Cheated Death. I've seen the poster. I've even seen some clips, I think, of the creature, so to speak, effects in this. As we'll get into a little bit of his look or whatever. I've seen some stills or some scenes from that, but I've never seen anything to do with A Man in Half Moon Street, the 1945 film, or connected it to this movie until now.
Basically, the premise of this movie is that these partners, I guess scientists, right? They have come up with some way where at least this one guy, I guess it's got something to do with your some kind of gland, like adrenal gland or something like that, where basically like he doesn't die. Like as long as he gets this gland transplant or whatever, I think it's like every 10 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess unless he kills people. Now, this is where it kind of lost me in some of this, like, because he kills people by like touching them. Like it's almost like he not necessarily like choking them out, but it's like he grabs them by the mouth or something like that, and like leaves a burn on their face or something, right? And I guess what's he doing there? Is he taking their life essence or something? I don't know what the hell's.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to have been explained so very well. I mean, some sort of what is it, acidic? Like he's 104 years old, right? Or so he's revealed, and he's kept this way through this gland, but through whatever this other process is, and it's like if he doesn't get it, he starts becoming acidic green, and I don't know.
Which you
Burns
learn,
people when he grabs them like
you
a
learn a
shark.
little bit later on. It's because basically, like, if he's not getting what he needs, he starts to feel the effects of age. Like, because not only can he just keep living, he doesn't even get sick or feel the effects of any illness or anything.
Yeah.
But as soon as he doesn't get whatever it is he needs, this gland murdering people, whatever the hell it is he needs, he starts to like that will kill him. All of a sudden, all the illness he's never had just piles up on him all at once, right?
He starts to turn green, and yeah. But yeah, you mentioned he just that's the touch of death or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that's never really explained, and it's gonna affect my rating on it.
It's not really the best. I mean, I guess it's effective enough to creep you out, but it's not the best makeup job either. Like, the dude just kind of turns green and gets bags under his eyes. and his eyes, like they put some kind of contact or something in there.
Yeah. Like super blue, super steel blue looking eyes or something.
Yeah, that's all that happened.
Watching it now, like I said, I've never seen the 1945 movie Man in Half Moon Street, or seen the play, or read the play, or anything. But this story kind of comes off to me sort of like a combination of The Portrait of Dorian Gray with a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde slightly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah, but that you're right about that one too. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of both going on here, but not quite.
Yeah. Because I mean, the Jekyll Hyde thing is more like, because there's a potion he has that he's made to help him, whatever, which is kind of like the Jekyll Hyde potion, but also is him turning when he starts to age or whatever. But he doesn't turn into a different person. He's not like he's nice as a human and then he's this murderous creature. Yeah, he's murdering people, but it's to stay young, not because some other side of his consciousness is taken over or something.
Now, there's another element to this too. Is I guess when in his younger years, 100 years prior or so, he was a sculptor, I guess, and he still has like women that want him to sculpt them or whatever, right? They model for him or whatever. What exactly did the sculptures have to do anything? Because they seem like they had something to do with it, other than the fact that the guy was talented and he could make a nice, sculpted bust or whatever. But past that, they seemed like they had some purpose. Like, were the spirits of people in these sculpts or something? Like, what do you think was going on there? I'm
thinking to myself, maybe it's some just symbolic of capturing youth forever. Kind of like the way he's trying to capture youth forever. Maybe. I mean, just so I don't know if that's the intention or anything, but I mean, it's kind of, when you paint, it's kind of like the Portrait of Dorian Gray. It actually comes back to that a little bit. When you paint somebody, I guess, or when you sculpt somebody in their youth or whatever, then that you have that forever, or that person or their family or whoever has that forever, and they see them that way, young forever, I guess. Maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know. Because between that and like, because he's got this room with the sculptures of all these people that even his dog, like, this is the first sculpt that I ever did. It's like, it says dog and it says 1798 on it. Right? I love that too. Well, this can't be when you were 12. It says 1798. What? You're 100. Well, that means she does the math pretty quick too, right? Well, that makes you about 104, wouldn't it? Haha, that's silly. And then
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to the one lady that was in the cell? She was just battling, and she'd gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and she was just sitting in there laughing and stuff. Like, why didn't the guy like the rest? Like, I don't know. There was a lot of inconsistencies here with.
Yeah, because he definitely touched her.
Yeah,
because she had that same burn.
Yeah,
on her face.
It didn't kill her; it just drove her nuts, and he kept her in the cell down there. And the guy that was like his partner or whatever, right? Like, I guess now that this guy's a little younger than him. I think he's like 80 something. The guy is a doctor. He has a stroke and can't perform the procedure that I guess they do every 10 years or so with the gland thing. So now that's pretty much the bulk of the story here, right? Is he's got to find another doctor that can do the procedure after, what happens to his partner there. And that's where Christopher Lee comes in, right?
Yeah. And I'd say is for he's a different role for him, and I'm sure he was probably. I mean, I haven't read any interviews with Christopher Lee to see if he said anything about this movie or whatever. But I would think that he was happy with not playing a monster.
Yeah,
because he said he was kind of tired of being typecast as a monster, even up at this point.
He could just be normal old Christopher Lee in this movie.
And it's totally different too. It strikes you at first. You're like, well, I mean, he looks even younger because he's not in makeup. Even when he's Dracula, he's got certain camera effects and things and lighting effects on his face to make him look the part or whatever. He just looked a lot younger, and when you see him in this, and he doesn't look as imposing because they don't shoot him at certain angles like they do when he's a monster.
Yeah.
So it just has a different look to him, when he's just normal Christopher Lee.
And this is probably the first one since we watched The Hound of the Baskervilles where Christopher Lee's not, dressed up.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of come together in a consensus on this, and we give out our hammer ratings. It's a scale of 0 to 5. Think of it like stars, except we give out hammers. So we didn't really talk about it beforehand. So, Donnie, what's your final thoughts, and what do you think the hammer count should be on this one?
Yeah. So, thing is, we talked about it. It is flawed, but it's still worth checking out. Some stuff doesn't make sense, and some of it isn't really explained. But Christopher Lee was awesome in it.
Yeah.
Just a well acted. My hammer rating, kind of, I don't know, if we kind of look back.
Well, the lowest one we gave out was 2.25 hammers to X the Unknown. I would kind of put this in the realm myself of the Quatermass movies, like Quatermass Experiment, X the Unknown, Quatermass 2. It feels to me more like one of those than it does kind of some of the other ones like the Mummy and the Dracula, stuff like that we've done so far.
Yeah, thing is, I don't know. Like it's not quite a 3 for me. It's probably like maybe 2 3/4 because I still think it's worth checking out. But I also don't think it's shitty either.
Yeah.
Now I think the way I would say is that if you've never seen any Hammer films before, you've never dipped your toes in the world of Hammer, this is not the movie to start with. Start with like Dracula, Frankenstein, or something like that. But on the other hand, if you have seen a good many Hammer films, but this one has escaped you, then definitely seek this one out because I think you'll get enjoyment of it. It won't be your favorite, but I think it'll be. That's kind of the way I see it too, and I agree with you. It's not. I don't see it as a full 3 hammers, but definitely at least 2 3/4.
Yeah, I think it's fair to go with that. So we'll officially give it 2 3/4 hammers, because that way it kind of falls, a notch below the Mummy and some of those other ones, Revenge of Frankenstein, stuff like that we've watched. But it's probably a slight nudge above the Quatermass movies. So kind of in between there. Abominable Snowman realm, so far of the 10 that we've watched. So yeah, I think that's fair. So I guess we'll pretty much leave it there. So that means we recommend you go check it out. It's probably not going to be your favorite. And like the professor said, don't make it the first Hammer movie you watch. Make it like make it like the 3rd or 4th one you watch.
Somewhere down there. If you make it the first, you might not like. You might think this the best Hammer has to offer. I mean, not to knock the movie, but it's not. It's definitely not their best.
No,
but it's middling for sure. It's in there. It's good.
Next month here on Hammer Horror in Order, we're going back to the old monster movies, The Brides of Dracula. And we finally entered the 60s. This came out in July of 1960. And of course, we bring Peter Cushing back. He took a month off here on Hammer Horror in Order, but it's time to bring him back. So
and this time Christopher Lee takes a break, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I think he took a break because he didn't want to portray. He didn't want to be typecast as Dracula, so he kind of took a break from it for that. But we'll get into that on the next episode.
Yeah. So there you go. So we'll leave it there for now. So like I said off the top, go to aaspookshow.com. New episodes of the podcast come out every Monday at 6 p.m. East, right here on the YouTube channel. Lots of other cool stuff here on the channel too that we encourage you to go check out, such as Video Vortex, Grindhouse Gutter, Traumatic Experience, lots of cool stuff. So for Will, who couldn't be with us, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All American Spook Show, and we will talk to you next month.